Listen carefully. The world doesn't pay you for what you plan. It pays you for what you finish. You won't feel ready. You'll feel powerful after you move. Most people wait for a spark. Winners become the spark. Your feelings are like weather. They change with every hour. But your discipline, that steel, it doesn't bend. When your mind says, later, you say, now. When your body says, rest, you say, rise. Every time you choose effort over emotion, you build power. Every time you finish what you start, you build identity. Remember this, motivation fades, discipline remains, and success belongs to the one who moves, even when it hurts. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Start now, because the man who commands himself commands the world. Let's begin. Every morning, the battle begins, not against the world, not against other people, but against yourself. Your emotions wake up first. They whisper, stay in bed. You deserve it. They promise comfort. But comfort is the enemy of progress. If you let emotions lead, they will always choose what feels good now, not what builds greatness later. But discipline chooses purpose over pleasure. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It commands what you must do. This is the law that separates the average man from the exceptional one. The average man obeys his moods. The exceptional man obeys his mission. Your emotions were never designed to lead you to success. They were designed to protect you from pain. But every dream worth building lives beyond pain. That's why the ones who rise are not the strongest or the smartest. They're the ones who can command themselves when their emotions scream. No, the truth is simple. Your feelings are not facts. You can feel tired and still move. You can feel afraid and still act. You can feel doubt and still decide. Discipline is doing what must be done long after the mood that made you say it has disappeared. When you act on emotion, you drift. When you act on discipline, you build. The world doesn't respect intentions. It respects execution. Think of every great builder, Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie. They didn't wait for perfect timing or inspiration. They acted while others hesitated. They moved while others planned. They finished while others were still talking. Because they understood the law, motion creates emotion. Action creates confidence. And consistency creates power. When you move, your feelings follow. But when you wait to feel ready, nothing happens. The body decays. The mind weakens. The dream fades. So the next time your mind says, not today, smile, because that's your signal. That's the moment you must rise. Every resistance you feel is proof you're touching growth. Discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of self-respect. It's saying, I care enough about my future to do what's necessary, not what's easy. It's the language of self-mastery. The voice of the leader within you. You see, emotion reacts to the present. Discipline creates the future. Emotion wants comfort. Discipline builds character. Emotion changes with the weather. Discipline stands firm like steel. When you train yourself to act despite emotion, you free yourself. No more waiting for motivation. No more asking for energy. You simply decide and move, and that single choice is the difference between a drifting life and a directed one. You may not realize it, But every time you obey a feeling instead of a decision, you weaken your will. You teach your mind that comfort wins. But every time you move through resistance, you harden your resolve. You prove that you, not your feelings, are in control. That is true freedom, not the freedom to do what you want, but the freedom to do what you must, the freedom to choose action over hesitation, to move forward when everything in you wants to quit. Look around. The men and women who lead, they don't look for comfort. They live by principle. They act by command. Their power doesn't come from motivation, it comes from repetition. They do what needs to be done, whether the sun is shining or the rain is pouring. They move when no one's watching. They work when no one's clapping, because they've learned that discipline is the ultimate equalizer. Discipline doesn't care who you are, where you were born, or what you have. It only asks one question: will you do it? Even when you don't feel like it. If your answer is yes, the world will bend in your favor, because life rewards execution, not emotion. Momentum is the secret that emotion can never give you. When you show up every day, when you follow through, when you complete what you start, your brain begins to trust you. It starts to see you as a finisher, and that identity becomes your armor. When fatigue comes, you push. When boredom comes, you continue. When fear comes, you act anyway. That's the code of discipline. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. It's quiet, relentless, and unstoppable. The world may not see your small acts of self-control today, but one day they'll see the results, the body, the mind, the life you've built. Remember this law: discipline over emotion, orders over urges, movement over mood, finish over feel. If you can command yourself, you can command your destiny. And when you do, the world has no choice. It will move for you. This is where greatness begins: in silence, in struggle, in the choice to act anyway. There is a law written into the universe. Nothing moves until you move. You can dream, you can plan, you can visualize all you want, but nothing changes until your body does. Most people spend their lives waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right time. But the right time never comes, because time doesn't make you ready. Action does. Power doesn't show up before movement. Power is created by movement. The second you take that first step, something shifts inside you. Doubt weakens, fear loses its grip, and suddenly, the impossible starts to look inevitable. That's the power of motion. It doesn't just move your body, it reprograms your mind. Each step forward is a signal to your brain that says, I'm capable. Each completed task is proof that your words have weight. Remember this: the mind follows the body. If you want to change how you feel, change what you do. When you move, energy appears. When you act, inspiration follows. But when you sit still, your thoughts turn against you. Overthinking becomes a cage. Fear grows in stillness. Confidence grows in motion. You can't think your way into confidence. You must act your way into it. Think about it. You don't build strength by wanting to lift weights. You build it by lifting them. You don't build courage by hoping to speak. You build it by opening your mouth and facing the fear. You don't build mastery by studying forever. You build it by starting before you're ready. Movement is the spark that ignites the engine of life. It's how momentum is born. And momentum is what makes discipline easier. Once you start rolling, every action after that becomes lighter, faster, more natural. That's why winners don't wait for motivation. They start with one move. They make it impossible not to continue. They know that motion creates emotion, and emotion fuels momentum. So when your alarm goes off in the morning, get up before your brain starts negotiating. When an idea hits, write it down before it fades. When you feel stuck, move, even if it's just one small step. Because that step breaks inertia, that step starts the flow. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings. A tiny action repeated daily builds an avalanche of results. One push becomes progress. Progress becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. And identity is destiny. This is how great things are built, not by massive leaps, but by relentless steps. The bridge between who you are and who you want to be is made of 1,000 small moves done when you didn't feel like it. Understand this truth. Inaction drains energy. Action creates it. You will never regret moving forward, only standing still. The man who waits for the perfect plan loses to the man who acts with half a plan, because life rewards execution, not perfection. Progress beats precision. Direction beats hesitation. If you ever feel stuck, do this. Stop thinking, start counting. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. Stand up. Speak. Begin. That countdown bypasses doubt and hands control back to you. You don't need to see the whole path. You just need to take the next step, because the path doesn't appear to the watcher, it appears to the walker. And once you move, the universe moves with you. Doors open. Opportunities align. People appear. Not because they were missing, but because you weren't in motion to meet them. Every success story begins with this line. I started, not I was ready, not I had everything figured out. Just I started. That first act of courage, that first imperfect step, that's what builds unstoppable momentum. And momentum is what makes the impossible inevitable. Remember this law. You can't steer a parked car. It has to move first. And once it moves, even slowly, you can change direction, accelerate, adjust, improve. But none of that happens until you press go. So move before you feel ready. Move before you have permission. Move before you have confidence. Because confidence is born in motion, not in waiting. The second you act, everything changes. The fog lifts, the energy rises, the power returns, because power lives in the doing, not in the thinking. Remember, motion creates emotion. Action builds identity. Momentum builds destiny. So when in doubt, don't pause. Move. Because the moment you move, the world begins to move with you. Every dream demands a price. And the question is never if you'll pay, but when. You will pay with sweat now, or you will pay with sorrow later. The pain of effort is sharp, honest, and temporary. It burns while you're in it, but it builds you. The pain of regret, on the other hand, is silent, cold, and permanent. It visits you years later when it's too late to change. Effort hurts in the moment. Regret hurts for a lifetime. When you push yourself through discomfort, you suffer once, but you grow forever. When you avoid the hard work, you escape pain now only to drown in it later. You already know this feeling. The missed opportunity, the thing you said you'd start but never did, the words left unsaid, the goals you abandoned halfway. Those memories sting because regret doesn't fade. It echoes. Effort, pain says, I'm alive. Regret, pain whispers, I could have been more. The choice is simple. Either suffer from discipline now or suffer from disappointment later. The gym hurts, but so does weakness. Waking up early hurts, but so does falling behind. Studying hurts, but so does ignorance. Consistency hurts, but so does staying the same. There is no life without pain, but only one kind of pain moves you forward. Most people run from discomfort as if it were the enemy, but every champion, every leader, every creator learned to run toward it. Because they discovered the secret, effort pain is the doorway to freedom. Regret pain is the chain that keeps you stuck. When you feel resistance, that's not a sign to stop. That's the signal to continue. The burn in your muscles, the tiredness in your mind. So the moments when you want to quit, that's where strength is born. Effort pain builds character. Regret pain destroys it. The man who pushes through fatigue earns peace. The man who gives in to comfort earns shame. You can see it in their eyes. One walks with quiet confidence. The other carries invisible weight because deep down, regret always whispers the same words. You had your chance, and once that moment passes, it never returns. Every success story is written in the ink of effort. Every failure story is stained with regret. When the alarm rings before dawn, you have a choice. When your goals demand sacrifice, you have a choice. When the work feels endless, you have a choice. Effort or regret, growth or guilt, progress or pain. Each decision adds up day after day until one day you either stand tall in pride or sink under the weight of what could have been. Effort pain says, keep going. Regret pain says, it's too late. The ones who win are not immune to pain. They've simply chosen which pain they prefer. They've decided that the sting of effort is worth the life that follows. Because after the burn fades, after the exhaustion passes, after the struggle ends, you're left with something priceless. The pride of having done what most wouldn't. That quiet satisfaction when you look in the mirror and think, I did what I said I would do. That is freedom. That is power. That is peace. The pain of effort is temporary. The reward is eternal. The pain of regret is eternal. The escape is impossible. So when it hurts, remember, this is the good pain. The pain that shapes you. The pain that burns away weakness. The pain that forges the unshakable you. Every rep, every late night, every lonely grind. Every time you push past what you thought was your limit, you are trading short-term struggle for long-term strength. That's the trade every winner makes. So don't fear pain. Don't run from it. Chase it. Respect it. Because pain is the proof that you are growing. At the end of your life, you will look back and feel one of two things, pride or regret. And the difference will be measured by how much effort you were willing to give when it mattered most. Choose the pain that pushes you forward, not the one that drags you down, because the pain of effort builds the life you want. The pain of regret builds the prison you fear. So feel the burn. Let it test you. Let it sharpen you. Let it remind you you are still alive, still fighting, still becoming, and one day, when others wonder how you did it, how you stayed consistent, how you kept moving, when they quit, you'll smile and say, I chose effort every time. Comfort is a beautiful prison. It looks safe, it feels warm, but it slowly kills everything powerful inside you. Every dream that dies, every goal that fades, every potential that never awakens, they all have the same cause: comfort. Comfort whispers, you're fine, while it quietly steals your hunger. It says, you've done enough, while it takes away your edge. It says, rest a little longer, while it chains your future to yesterday. Nothing extraordinary was ever built in comfort. Not a business, not a body, not a legacy. Because comfort is not peace, it's paralysis. It convinces you that the absence of pain is happiness. But real happiness comes from growth, and growth only happens when you stretch, when you struggle, when you walk straight into discomfort and refuse to turn back. The comfort zone is seductive because it gives you the illusion of control. You know what happens there? Nothing unexpected, nothing scary, nothing new. But that's the problem. You already know the outcome. And if you already know the outcome, then you're not living, you're repeating. Growth begins the moment you step beyond what's familiar. Because discomfort is not danger, it's direction. It's the universe saying, this is where you evolve. Every time you do something that scares you, you stretch your limits. Every time you act while uncertain, you expand your capacity. Every time you move toward resistance, you sharpen your power. You weren't built for safety. You were built for expansion. The body weakens without challenge. The mind dulls without struggle. And the spirit fades without risk. So, stop worshiping comfort. Stop treating it like it's peace. It's not peace, it's poison. A slow, silent decay that keeps you soft when life demands strength. The strongest people you admire, they weren't born fearless. They just learned to stop obeying comfort. They reprogrammed their minds to chase challenge instead of escape. They see struggle as proof that they're alive. And they know that on the other side of fear is freedom. Fear isn't your enemy, it's your compass. It points directly to where growth is waiting. When something scares you, it's not a warning, it's a signal. Go there. So make it your rule. If it scares you, do it. If it challenges you, face it. If it hurts, learn from it. That's how warriors are made. That's how leaders are born. Because every step beyond comfort is a step closer to your potential. The comfort zone tells you to play it safe. Discipline tells you to play it bold. Comfort says, stay here. Purpose says, go further. Comfort says, you might fail. Courage says, then I'll grow. Ask yourself right now, how many times have you chosen comfort over commitment? How many dreams have you delayed because comfort was louder than purpose? How many times have you said, I'll do it tomorrow, knowing tomorrow never comes? Every time you obey comfort, you lose a little more faith in yourself. But every time you move through it, you earn that faith back. And soon, your brain learns a new truth, that what feels uncomfortable is actually safe, because it's where you grow, where you find strength, where you meet the real you. The comfort zone is a liar. It tells you you're happy when you're stuck. It tells you you're secure when you're stagnant. It tells you you're resting when you're really retreating. Don't let it win. Every time, comfort whispers, stay, move faster. Every time it tempts you to pause, act harder. Every time it says, stop, push one step further. Because comfort doesn't just hold you still, it pulls you backward. And if you're not growing, you're dying. When you destroy your comfort zone, you discover something incredible: freedom. The freedom to live without fear. The freedom to grow without permission. The freedom to know you can handle whatever comes next. That's the real peace, not the silence of comfort, but the confidence of control. Because once you've learned to move through discomfort, you can face anything: rejection, failure, loss, uncertainty. You face them all and smile because they no longer control you. So don't ask for an easy path, ask for a strong one. Don't pray for less pressure, pray for more power. Don't seek comfort, seek capacity. Because you were not born to play small, you were born to rise. And every time you choose discomfort over ease, you take one more step toward the person you were meant to become. So from this moment on, treat comfort like the enemy it is. When it whispers, move. When it tempts, resist. When it soothes, awaken. Because the moment you destroy your comfort zone, if you step into your true life, the life that was waiting for you beyond fear, comfort weakens, challenge awakens. Choose the fire, not the cage, and rise. Discipline is not a mystery. It's a system, and if you learn how to build that system, you can command yourself like a general commands his army. Most people think discipline is about motivation. It's not. It's about structure. Structure eliminates hesitation. You see, the man who waits to feel ready never begins. But the man who has a clear system doesn't ask himself if he feels like it. He simply follows the plan. Discipline isn't about forcing yourself to be superhuman. It's about designing your environment, your routine, your focus, so success becomes automatic. Let's make it simple. Every day, you only need 3 things: a clear command, a defined schedule, and a non-negotiable finish. That's it. 1 order, 1 time frame, 1 completion. Here's how it works. When you wake up, give yourself a single command, just 1 sentence. It can be small, but it must be definite. Something like, I will finish the task I've been avoiding. Or, I will complete my work before checking my phone. Then, set a time block. 1 focused stretch. No distractions. 45 minutes. 60 minutes. 90 at most. During that time, emotion has no voice. Only action speaks. And when the clock runs out, finish what you started. Even if it's not perfect, finish it. Because completion builds confidence, and confidence builds momentum. That's the real engine of discipline, not willpower, but momentum. Think of a rocket. It takes the most fuel just to lift off, but once it's moving, momentum carries it higher with less effort. Your life works the same way. The hardest part is starting. After that, momentum takes over. So your only job is to start immediately, start imperfectly. Start before your brain has a chance to negotiate. The longer you wait, the louder the excuses become. But once you move, Your mind shifts from hesitation to execution. It stops asking, should I, and starts asking, what's next? That shift is where discipline lives. Now, make it visible. Don't let your goals stay in your head. Write them where you can see them. Your brain needs a target to obey. When you give it clear orders, it follows. That's why generals use commands, not wishes. Say it out loud, I don't wait for feelings. I follow orders. Because that's what discipline is. Obedience to your own vision. And if you ever lose focus, don't restart your whole life. Just restart your next minute. That's the secret. You don't need a new week or a new year. You just need one decision right now. The disciplined person doesn't chase perfect days. He builds productive minutes. He wins one small battle at a time. If you can win your morning, you can win your day. And if you can win your day, you can win your life. That's why you must master your environment, your phone, your desk, your space. These are your battlegrounds. If your environment breeds distraction, discipline will always be at war. Remove temptation before it tests you. Silence the noise before it steals your focus. Preparation is self-respect. It's saying, I take myself seriously enough to make success easier, and when your day gets difficult, because it will, don't wait for a miracle of motivation, return to your command. Return to your schedule. Return to your finish. Because consistency is what transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary power, at the end of the day, discipline is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters every day, whether you feel like it or not. It's about simplifying your world so that greatness becomes your default setting. You can start right now. Pick one command for today, one task you've been delaying. Start it. Set your timer. Block out the noise. And finish. Don't overthink it. Don't complicate it. Just move. Because the man who acts on small orders every day will one day look around and realize he's built something monumental. That's how discipline becomes practical. That's how ordinary men build extraordinary lives. Remember this truth. Discipline doesn't require emotion. It requires structure, and structure creates freedom. Freedom from hesitation, freedom from chaos, freedom from regret. The man without discipline is a slave to impulse. The man with discipline is the master of his destiny. So command yourself daily. Plan your moves. Control your minutes. Finish what you start. Because greatness is not built in bursts of motivation. It's built through daily structure, executed with relentless consistency. You've been waiting for someone to say, you're ready. Waiting for approval. Waiting for a sign. Waiting for the world to notice you. But here's the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to hand you confidence. No one will give you permission to rise. The longer you wait, the smaller your life becomes. Permission is a cage, a soft, invisible one. It feels safe, but it keeps you trapped in mediocrity. You don't need anyone's validation to begin. You don't need applause to believe. You don't need approval to move. You only need courage. The courage to trust yourself when nobody else does. The courage to walk alone when the crowd stays silent. The courage to say, I will do this, not because they said I could, but because I decided I will. That is how freedom begins. Look at every great person you admire, the creators the builders, the leaders, the inventors. None of them waited for permission. They were misunderstood. They were doubted. They were told they weren't ready. And they did it anyway. Because greatness doesn't come from approval. It comes from defiance. It comes from saying, my belief matters more than your doubt. You were not born to fit in. You were born to stand out. You were not born to follow rules. You were born to create them. Stop seeking acceptance from those who are too afraid to chase their own dreams. Stop explaining your purpose to people who gave up on theirs. Stop waiting for the world to understand what only your soul can see. Every second you spend waiting for someone's blessing is a second you lose building your own destiny. While you hesitate, others are acting while you question. Others are creating while you seek permission. Others are already winning. You don't need to be chosen. You need to choose yourself, because the moment you decide that your vision is enough, everything changes. You stop asking. You start building. You stop hoping. You start executing. You stop needing approval. You start earning respect. The world follows those who move with certainty, not because they're special, but because they've decided to move without fear. Boldness commands attention. Action creates validation. When you act without asking, you become the authority. When you decide without waiting, you become the leader. That's how empires begin, not with permission, but with decision. Ask yourself right now, whose approval are you still waiting for? A parent, a friend, a stranger on the internet, someone who has never lived the life you want? Why give them power over your destiny? Why let their fear write your story? Understand this. The people who doubt you are not your judges, they're your mirrors. They reflect their own limitations, not yours. And when you break free from their expectations, you break the invisible chains that have held you back for years. Permission is comfort. Action is power. When you stop asking the world to let you rise, you rise automatically. You'll feel something new, a quiet confidence, a deep certainty that doesn't need applause, because you'll know that the only yes you ever needed was your own. That's the power of self-trust. That's the root of all success. You don't need a mentor to begin. Begin, and mentors will appear. You don't need opportunity to act, and opportunity will find you. You don't need validation to believe. Believe, and validation will follow. The universe rewards decision, not hesitation. It moves for those who move. It gives power to those who command it. So make this your declaration. I don't ask for permission. I create direction. I don't wait for signs. I make them. I don't seek approval. I seek progress. Because the moment you claim authority over your life, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing opinions and start chasing purpose. You stop fearing rejection and start craving progress. And soon, the same people who doubted you will call you fearless. The same ones who ignored your vision will call it destiny. But you'll know the truth. You didn't need them. You just needed you. So from this day forward, walk like you own your mission. Speak like your words have weight. Act like the outcome is already yours. Because when you move like you belong there, the world eventually believes it too. Never wait to be chosen. Choose yourself. Anyone can start, but only the few finish. The world is full of people who begin with excitement and end with excuses. They talk big in January and disappear by March. They start projects, goals, dreams, but never see them through. Starting is easy. Finishing is rare. And that's why finishers rule the world. The finisher is a different breed. He doesn't chase the thrill of beginning. He chases the satisfaction of completion because he knows unfinished work leads to an unfinished life. Every time you leave something half done, you weaken your identity. You teach your mind that quitting is acceptable. You tell your spirit, my word means nothing. But every time you finish even the small things, you reinforce a truth more powerful than any motivation. You tell yourself, I can depend on me. That belief is the foundation of greatness. Finishing is not about perfection. It's about integrity. It's about proving that your promises carry weight. When you finish what you start, you build an unshakable reputation first with yourself. Then with the world, people trust finishers. Opportunities chase finishers. The universe moves for finishers because finishing is a signal, a declaration that you are dependable, disciplined, and devoted. The truth is, the final 10% of every journey is where most people give up. That's where fatigue sets in. That's where doubt gets loud. That's where distractions multiply. But that's also where champions are born. The finisher sees the pain and keeps moving. He sees the obstacles and finds a way through. He sees the end and refuses to stop until he touches it. When you feel like quitting, remember this. You're not tired of the work. You're tired of waiting for the reward. But the reward only appears after the finish line. Every task you complete builds momentum. And momentum is power. It compounds. One completed goal gives birth to another. And soon, finishing becomes who you are, not what you do. You stop being a starter. You become a closer. You become the kind of person who doesn't just say he does, who doesn't just plan, he performs, who doesn't just begin, he completes. And once your mind believes that you always finish, you become unstoppable. Finishing builds identity. Identity builds confidence. And confidence builds destiny. That's why the phrase, I'll try, must die. It's not I'll try, it's I will finish. Because trying gives you an escape. Finishing gives you evolution. Think about every great success story you've ever heard. Every one of them ends with this line, and they finished. Not the smartest, not the most talented, not the most gifted, just the most committed. The finisher doesn't need perfect conditions. He creates progress from chaos. He works when he's tired. He executes when he's uninspired. He completes what he starts because that's who he is. And that's what you must become. Don't let your life be a collection of half-built bridges, projects started, dreams paused, goals delayed. Every unfinished thing drains your energy, divides your focus, and whispers failure into your subconscious. Close the loop. Finish what you start. Even if it's small, even if it's quiet, even if no one is watching. Completion creates clarity. Clarity creates confidence. And confidence gives you control. So create your own finisher ritual. At the end of each day, ask yourself one question. What did I complete today? Not what you started. What you finished, then celebrate that completion, no matter how small, because every finished task is a brick in the fortress of your identity. You are building something sacred. Trust in yourself. And once you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. When you finish, and you prove that discipline beats distraction, that purpose beats procrastination, and that commitment beats comfort. The world doesn't remember those who almost did. It remembers those who did. It rewards those who crossed the line. It crowns those who endured. So decide today you don't start things anymore, you finish them. You don't make promises, you deliver them. You don't chase motivation, you chase mastery. When your mind says, stop, your spirit will whisper, finish. When your body says, enough, your purpose will say, one more. That's the identity you must build. The closer, the finisher, the one who follows through when others fall away, because the man who finishes what he starts commands the respect of the world, and more importantly, the respect of himself. Remember this law. Starting is a statement, finishing is proof. The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't out there in the world. It's in here inside your own head. Your mind can be your most powerful servant or your most dangerous master. Every day, it gives you two voices. One whispers, let's move. The other whispers, let's rest. One says, you can. The other says, you can't. One pushes you forward. The other pulls you back. And here's the truth. The voice you obey becomes your reality. If you let your emotions lead, your mind becomes a wild beast. It chases comfort, feeds on fear, and runs from challenge. But if you train it, if you learn to command it, it becomes your greatest weapon. Every success begins with this one decision: I will control my mind, or it will control me. Because if your mind rules you, your life will never be your own. You must train your mind like a soldier. It must obey orders, not impulses. It must follow commands, not moods. When it says, stop, how you respond? 5 more. When it says, later, you answer, now. When it says, I can't, you roar. Watch me. That's how mental mastery is built, not through comfort, but through command. Understand this. Your thoughts shape your actions. Your actions shape your habits. Your habits shape your destiny. So if you don't take control of your thoughts, you lose control of your life. An untrained mind is chaos. It wanders, it worries, it waits, it feeds on distractions, it invents problems that don't exist, and slowly, it destroys your focus. But a trained mind is power. It obeys direction. It executes under pressure. It finds clarity in the middle of chaos. The world will always test you with noise, temptation, and doubt, but none of it matters if your mind listens to you. Say this to yourself: my mind is my servant, not my master, because that single belief changes everything. When you act despite fear, you reprogram your brain. When you move through doubt, you retrain your mind to follow your decisions. When you command yourself to continue, even when every emotion begs you to stop, you become unstoppable. Your brain learns through repetition. Each time you finish, when it says, quit, you build authority. Each time you wake up, when it says, sleep in, you build control. Each time you do what you said you'd do, you build mental armor. And soon, your mind learns the truth. This one doesn't quit. That's the shift that separates the average from the elite, because the untrained mind listens to emotion, but the trained mind listens to command This is the war inside every person, and most people lose it before the day even starts. They let their emotions dictate their actions. They obey their moods instead of their mission. But not you. You are here to take control. You are here to install order where chaos once ruled, to silence weakness with action, to replace hesitation with decision. The moment you win the war within, the world outside has no power over you. When others complain, you adapt. When others freeze, you move. When others panic, you focus because your mind obeys you. That's why mental control is the foundation of all success. You can have talent, passion, and ambition. But if your mind wavers, everything collapses. Yet when your mind is steady, no storm can shake you. Control begins with awareness. Notice when your thoughts drift into fear. Catch them. Replace them. Command them. Say it. This thought does not serve me. Then act against it. You defeat weakness through movement, not through argument. Don't reason with your excuses. Outrun them. Outwork them. Overrule them. That's what it means to command your mind. It's not about silencing every negative thought. It's about refusing to obey it. And over time, something powerful happens. You stop reacting. You start creating. You stop fearing. You start leading. Your emotions no longer pull you off. Of course, they become fuel. Fear sharpens your focus. Pain builds your patience. Doubt reminds you to move faster. This is the real secret to mastery. You don't eliminate emotion, you harness it. You turn every feeling into force, every thought into direction. That's how empires are built, not through comfort, not through motivation, but through the relentless command of the mind. So from this moment forward, give your mind orders and make it obey. When it says, "I'm tired," you say, "We move." When it says, "I'm afraid," you say, "We fight." When it says, "I've done enough," you say, "We finish," because your mind is a servant and you are the master. The war inside you is the only one that matters. Win that war, and no obstacle outside can ever defeat you. Remember this forever. He who commands his mind commands his destiny. Resistance is the invisible wall that stops most people from living the life they want. You feel it every morning. It's that hesitation before you act. That silent voice that says, "Not yet. Just 5 more minutes." It feels harmless, but it's deadly. Because resistance never attacks loudly. It whispers. It delays. It convinces. And little by little, it kills your momentum. That's why you need a weapon, a trigger, a command that destroys hesitation the moment it appears. That weapon is the comfort kill switch. Here's how it works. The second you feel resistance, you move. No debate, no waiting, no negotiation. You act within 60 seconds, because hesitation is like rust. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. But when you move instantly, you break its hold before it can form. Action kills doubt. Movement kills fear. Speed kills procrastination. You don't need to win the whole war right now. You just need to move within the first minute of feeling resistance. That's the kill switch. When your brain says, "I don't feel like it," you stand up. When it says, "Later," you say, "No." When it says, "I'll start tomorrow," you say, tomorrow doesn't exist. That instant move, that small, fast action is how you regain control. It could be simple. Open the laptop. Put on your shoes. Write one sentence. Take one step, because motion creates momentum. And once momentum begins, everything else becomes easier. Most people never learn this truth. They spend their lives trapped between intention and execution. They confuse planning with progress. They wait for clarity, not realizing clarity comes after movement, not before it. You don't need to know the whole plan. You just need to flip the switch and start. That's how discipline begins. Not with grand gestures, but with small, immediate action repeated every day. The difference between a dreamer and a doer is often less than 60 seconds. Because in that minute, you either move or you make an excuse. And once you make an excuse, you train your brain to repeat it. But when you move, despite the excuse, you train your mind to obey. That's why every moment of hesitation is a test of who's really in charge, you or your comfort. When you feel tired, move. When you feel fear, move. When you feel doubt, move. Because movement breaks the spell, fear fades when you move. Doubt dies when you move. Inaction is the only thing that keeps them alive. You were not designed to sit in hesitation. You were built for forward motion. That's why action feels good. That's why progress brings peace. Because your soul recognizes truth, you're meant to move. There's no special moment coming to save you. There's only now. And now is all you ever needed. When you master the comfort kill switch, you stop being a victim of mood and become a commander of movement. You no longer wait to feel ready. You make yourself ready by acting, because readiness isn't a feeling. It's a state created by motion. The moment you act, your energy changes. Your body wakes up, your focus returns, and the universe responds. That's why all great performers, athletes, artists, leaders don't wait for motivation. They start before it arrives. They've learned the secret: motion first, motivation second. So here's your new rule. When resistance appears, move your body before your mind interferes. Stand up. Breathe deeply. Count down from 5 and go. That's your reset. That's your command. That's your kill switch. And every time you use it, you strengthen the link between decision and action. You shorten the gap between intention and execution. You build a brain that obeys you without hesitation. That's power. That's freedom. That's control. Soon, the comfort kill switch won't just be a technique, it'll be who you are. You'll become the person who moves first, thinks later, and finishes always. When others wait for signs, you act. When others overthink, you move. When others hesitate, you execute. Because your comfort zone no longer has control, you do. This is how you rise through resistance. This is how you build unstoppable momentum. This is how you turn thought into destiny. So the next time you hear that whisper, not now, smile and flip the switch, because you are no longer a slave to comfort. You are a commander of action. And commanders don't wait. They move always. There comes a moment in every man's life when he must sign a contract with himself. Not with ink, not with paper, but with sweat, sacrifice, and self-command. This contract is not written, it's lived. It begins the day you stop waiting for someone to save you and decide to lead yourself, it says, from this day forward, I will be ruled by discipline, not emotion, by decisions, not excuses, by purpose, not comfort. That's the moment your old self dies. The version of you that hesitated, that waited, that talked more than he acted, that version is gone. From this day, you live by code. You understand that life doesn't reward wishes, it rewards execution. It doesn't respond to feelings, it responds to movement. You now live by a simple law. If I say it, I do it. No negotiations, no second thoughts, no escape routes, because every time you keep your word, you strengthen your power. Every time you follow through, you earn your own respect. And self-respect is the foundation of success. You no longer need motivation. You no longer need approval. You no longer need permission. You are self-led, self-driven, self-made. You rise not because it's easy, but because it's required. You understand that discipline is not punishment. It's the highest form of love, love for your future self. Every early morning, every extra hour, every hard choice, they're not sacrifices. They're investments. Each one says, I care enough about my future to act for it today. This is your discipline code, your unbreakable oath. I will not wait for the perfect time. I will make time perfect through action. I will not let emotions decide. I will decide. I will not chase comfort. I will chase growth. I will finish everything I start. I will live each day as proof that I am in control of me. This is how warriors are built. Not through motivation, but through consistency, not through chance, but through choice. Because discipline is destiny, and you've signed the contract. From this day forward, you belong to a rare breed, the few who do what they said they would do, long after the mood that made them say it has faded. You are now bound by a sacred code. Never break your own word. Never retreat from your own promise. Never abandon your mission halfway. If you fall, you rise. If you fail, you learn. If you doubt, you move anyway. Because the man who honors his word is untouchable. The man who obeys his discipline is unstoppable. The man who commands himself is free. This is your moment of rebirth. You are not here to survive. You are here to conquer, to command, to complete. Every act of discipline you practice is a deposit into your greatness. And one day, when others wonder how you did it, you'll smile. Because you'll know you simply kept your promise. So say it now, not to the world, but to yourself. I am done negotiating with weakness. I am done betraying my word. I am done waiting for permission. From this day forward, I command myself, and I always finish what I start. That is the contract, the discipline code you live by, the creed of the unstoppable. And when you live by this creed, the world cannot deny you, because success doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the disciplined. Now rise, move, execute, and let the world feel your power. Remember this: no man is born disciplined. Discipline is forged in resistance, forged in discomfort, forged in every silent battle you fight with yourself. The difference between the average and the unstoppable isn't luck, isn't talent, isn't intelligence. It's obedience to purpose, to persistence, to the promise you made to yourself. Every day is a test. Every morning is a decision. Will you command, or be commanded. You've heard enough words. You've gathered enough ideas. Now it's time to act. The world doesn't care about what you plan to do, only what you finish. It doesn't reward your intention, only your execution. You already have everything you need: the strength, the focus, the fire, all waiting inside you. Now the question is simple. Will you rise? Will you move? Will you finish? Because the man who forces himself to get things done becomes the man who shapes his destiny. So when the alarm rings tomorrow, don't wait. Don't think. Move. When fear whispers, not now, you answer, watch me. When doubt says, you can't, you roar, I will, because that's what warriors do. They don't wait for courage, they create it. They don't wait for permission, they give it to themselves. They don't hope for success, they command it. Your mind is your kingdom. Your discipline is your crown. And your actions, they are the proof that you were born to rule yourself. This is your time, your moment, your test. So rise it, move, execute, finish, always. Because in the end, your results will not reflect how you felt. They will reflect what you finished. Now go and let the world feel your power. If this message spoke to something deep within you, don't let it fade. Rewatch it, live it, and share it with someone who needs to hear it.